castle of sand, waiting on a battle, so a handle all in my hand. The war forces more toward my door with demands, more important than the fortune that you poured in my pan. From freestyling to recording advance, can you please reinforce all my borders and bands? I should've put it towards some plans. Want a forest, gotta water some plants. Normally ignoring the branch is par for the course, but when you hold a culture you can't parkour over a part. You gotta march forth over your art and for your fans. When you corner, gotta shorten your stance, lessen your tails. Philly shell, don't orbit a dance. You hit a bell, then report to the band and do whatever that the chorus commands. And for the grand,
talented all along. Think we're fortresses made of stone. We're just palaces made out of flesh and bone. Waiting for our time to shine,
Lord, please bless my mansion of cards. If ever challenged, let us camp in the car. Or hang a hammock from a branch in the park. A planet made of uninhabited parts. Being anonymous don't grant you some dark. Even astronomers keep a camera on Mars. Satellite to track where you are and see your black as night, attack it with sparks. Fireworks are not a match for a star, and fire hurts, burns, blackens, and scars. Can still emerge, learned, attractive, and charred from out the ashes of galactic barrage. Yeah, it gets savage where they traffic mirage. It ain't no magic day in back of its secret hatches and frauds. You gotta take it back to the start. You gotta tap and learn to rap from the heart. Yeah, yeah.
Talented all along. Think we're fortresses made of stone. We're just palaces made out of flesh and bone. Waiting for our time to shine, to come home.
Compliments on my accomplishments are only possible due to your involvement, volume, level, and confidence. A consequence of stimulating your consciousness, activating the cognitive structures. I think all you motherfuckers and opposites still play a vital role in my conquering. The combination of confrontation and pondering. Occupation is populating the conference with conversational astonishment, consuming the comments and then vomiting up the Vonnegut. Hey. Ominous as a monster is underneath your posturepedic, possibly in the closet. It's a necropolis. Scary how I'm optimistically obstinate. Ain't no domino in my dominance when I'm dropping this. Janis Joplin droplets. It sound like the apocalypse mixed with Christopher Wallace's topics on top of obelisks. It's a kabbalist novelist inside of my esophagus. Rhyme is priming is optimist, and this shit tastes like chocolate cake.
I've won many things I've done, but this one here, this one takes the cake. I've won many things I've done, but this one here, this one takes the cake.
This shit taste like winter. Chocolate cake for dinner, birthday cake for breakfast. Slice it like a ninja. Pick up all the pieces, assemble like Avenger. Authoring is August, wordplay is December. That mean my pen is in cinders and my delivering shivers like Siberian area shippers. Slip on the slickest icicles, drip from the tip of my scriptures. If you a ship on the trip, don't hit on the tip of my glacier. Swim with the fish and flippers. I finish my pictures. This is what didn't get it, getting hitting the different differs. What did he do with it? Didn't she? Who are you mentioning? Lou would do a dual identity, dueling enemies. Do it to him, chewing through him without doing it dentally. Superhuman fluent without refueling engines with energy. This chemistry can it be? They googling endlessly. Even computers losing memory, bending mentally when they interface with the lyrical ability.
Many things I've done, but this one here, this one takes the cake. I've won many things I've done, but this one here, this one takes the cake.
where they are.